Let's go to Ukraine and Joseph Lindsley. Joe, good afternoon to you there in Ukraine. As if we are not sickened enough by these atrocities we're hearing about all the time. There's a report today about Kremlin forces targeting rescue workers in Ukraine by hitting residential buildings with 2 consecutive missiles. The first to draw crews to the scene, and then the second to wound or kill them. I mean, it's just unbelievable what they're doing, isn't it?
Yeah, Bob, good afternoon from the Carpathian Mountains, and it's awful. I have friends who've been the target of these attacks. A friend from America, she was a nurse. She was wounded in Bakhmut several months ago, and they were on the scene to respond to a previous Russian artillery strike. And in that attack, U.S. Marine veteran Dr. Peter Reed was killed. And this happens pretty often. And the Russians perhaps think that they can deter foreigners from coming here to help with these attacks. In a similar pattern, we see, as we talked about a couple of days ago, the Russians hit a pizza restaurant and a hotel in Pokrovsk. Really some of the only places where foreign volunteers and journalists can gather. And they destroyed that place. They did that in Kramatorsk at the pizzeria a few months ago, back in June. And so this is, if anyone ever forgets that Russia is doing everything they can to win, which means to destroy Ukraine and to destroy anyone who tries to help Ukraine. That's exactly what they're doing. And that's why, in these moments is when everyone has to find, additional strength and fortification to stand up to this type of menace. And, that's part of the reason why I'm here in the Carpathian Mountains, with Ukrainians and Americans who are here to help. And yesterday, with these friends from Lviv and from the U.S., we were walking along a ridge with just a spectacular view of the distant mountains, little villages with gold-domed churches. The churches look like 3-masted sailing ships throughout the nature around you. You can see them everywhere, even amid the forest. And then as we're walking, there's a man with a horse-drawn wagon passing by on the mountain trail. So there still is this old way of living connected to the land, and it makes it a very peaceful place. Stunning shades of green in the grass and the trees. And then just as it was turning into dusk, this stunning stub of a rainbow appeared over one of the mountain peaks. And, a very nice symbol of peace and tranquility in a difficult time. And this morning, we hiked up a bit higher, guided, of course, by one of the loyal dogs of our host. And high up, we found this perch with a bench. There was an entrance to a cave that was flush with the ground. And we don't know what that was, but there are many hiding places here called Kryivka, hiding places from the Soviet times, when the dissidents and those who were trying to keep alive Ukrainian language, the Greek Catholic religion, and their culture, they had to come to the mountains to keep those things alive during the time of Soviet oppression. And so they had these secret hiding places where the resistance would have their headquarters. So who knows if we stumbled upon one of those. But while we were there on that excellent ridge, just overlooking the scene, the green mountains around us, we had some summer beer and some deer jerky. And after days of rain, it's sunny, breezy, 65 degrees. And looking at that view, one of the Ukrainians with us, she simply said, "We are fighting for the possibility to be ourselves, just to live freely." And at that moment, above us flew a falcon, which in the Ukrainian language, this type of falcon is called Boroviter, which means the wind fighter. That the bird that fights the wind.
The problem becomes.
And this is a good symbol of strength, fighting against the wind. And so at that moment, our group of 6, we all looked up at the bird in the sky and the mountains around us, and we yelled in Ukrainian, "Do Peremoha," which means to victory. And we were talking about the meaning of that name of the bird, the Boroviter, the wind fighter. Ukrainians call the bear is called Vedmid, that which seeks honey. And you don't see too many bears at this elevation. But one of my friends was saying that Ukrainians in the mountains, when there's something evil or scary, they like to call it not by its real name, but something a little bit softer. So they don't call the bear. They call it the thing that seeks honey. And I was thinking perhaps by the same token, Ukrainians very often do not call Russians Russians, they called them orcs. You know, the character from Lord of the Rings, rather than calling them by their actual name, because that's sort of in the Ukrainian tradition when you confront something evil, to give it a different name. And while we were there on that mountaintop, just a reminder that the war is always around. We made videos to help raise money, to buy drones and trucks for all of our friends that are in the front lines and fighting. And if anyone wants to help, you can always support us at UkrainianFreedomNews.com. And then we go back to the guest house and at the base of the mountain. And, you know, they eat in the old ways here. It's you don't eat meat very often unless it's a holiday. So a lot of fish and a lot of trout. That can be hard for we Americans here to get used to. Vegetables that I've never seen and that come from the local gardens. Mushrooms that the cook that she found in the forest the past couple days. And they really live in these rhythms, these healthy rhythms of you know, that they've built up through centuries. And then after you eat, and I think I've talked about this before because I've been to this place, you climb 300 steps to these studio rooms that have like a grass roof and glass walls where you can see the nature around you. And it was built for artists and writers and painters, but now it's become a place for volunteers and soldiers and anyone needing a rest to come here for a few days to get some power so you can go on with the fight ahead. And as I came back to this spot and I had internet again after several hours of peacefully not knowing what was happening, we did see the news that there was a major explosion in the suburbs of Moscow, about 70 kilometers away. We don't know. There's a lot of fuzzy details, and so it's perhaps the conflicting accounts. Some say it was a fireworks plant, but more and more it seems that it might have been a Russian defense facility where there was a major explosion. Perhaps that is a sign of resistance or Ukrainian attack. And I'll say I have to go quickly because I have an open air Jeep waiting. My friends and colleagues are already there, and I have to hop in this Jeep and catch a train to our next destination. So I'm going to have to I'm going to have to run pretty quick, and hopefully with new energy from this mountain retreat.
Take some of that deer jerky with you. Is that what you said? It was deer jerky?
Deer jerky, which actually was from Austin, Texas, sent by some friends. So we had Czech beer and jerky from Texas. Little signs of how the whole world is working together to keep Ukrainians strong.
Joseph Lindsley in Ukraine. Safe travels, Joe. Talk to you tomorrow.
Thank you, Bob. Until tomorrow.
You will.
Thank you, Bob. Until tomorrow.
Thank you for introducing Ukraine on your social media pages. That's very important that much more people can get more information about the situation here and how everybody can help Ukraine to stay stronger and to save all the world.
Что он сказал?
Well, which side are you on?
На чьей ты стороне?
Come on now. Oh, which side are you on?
На чьей ты стороне?